Hey everybody, welcome to the latest edition of Sports Frenzy 2.0. I'm the maestro, Kevin Crane.
I'm the conquistador, Dave Height.
We are taping here on the 27th of October. This will hit on the 28th. Happy Halloween.
Yes.
Check out our weekend edition to find out our picks for the 10 greatest horror movies of all time.
Get the candy for those little goblins and ghouls out there.
And the Bears do not count as a horror show, even though they should.
Yeah, so many jokes, horrible comments. Where do you even begin with that shit show?
That's right. We're starting off the NFL as we always do here in the fall. Unfortunately, we start off with my second favorite team pummeling my favorite team is the Buccaneers.
Destroyed.
Beat the Bears 38-3.
That game actually could have been a lot more lopsided. To be honest with you, I think the Bucs in the second half kind of pulled the reins in a little bit to avoid completely embarrassing the Bears.
Well, plus they probably wanted to stay healthy too.
Yeah.
Didn't want to put anybody at risk, get anybody injured, and of course they had their own drama on the side. Both teams had drama going on, but not really on the field, is what's interesting.
Yeah.
The Bears can't figure out what they're doing. Nagy's got COVID now, which I find very convenient.
To avoid getting fired this week?
Yes, all of a sudden the pity party has to come flowing in for Matt Nagy the minute they get show up. Sorry, I was given like habanero cheese right before
habanero cheese, yes.
So I'm very phlegmed. But Nagy finds a way
to deflect the blame every freaking time.
And now he pulls COVID out of his back pocket in order to do that. I'm not saying he doesn't have COVID, but I find it very convenient that this would happen right when he's about ready to get shellacked and pummeled by the Chicago press.
And they still shellacked and pummeled him anyway, as they should have, because that team was in no way, shape, or form prepared to play that game. From the outset, there was no semblance of a game plan by the Bears. It's just like, oh, let me close my eyes, put my finger on the play sheet, and that's what we're going to run every single time. It's like they weren't even ready for anything.
And of course, the big mistake that Nagy tried to deflect onto Justin Fields, which I find reprehensible, was the first quarter interception where Justin Fields threw it way down the field. It got picked by the Bucs. Everybody's sitting there going, what's he doing? Well, in his helmet, he was being told by one of the coaches, there are 12 men on the field, run up and hike the ball. Get the penalty.
Get it.
Get the penalty. By the time Fields gets up there, the 12th man for the Bucs has run off the field. So there's no penalty, but Fields still runs the play, takes the shot, thinking it's a free play, gets picked off, and he's looking, where's the flag? There is no flag. Because your coaching staff hung you out to dry, Justin, because that's what they do.
They never discussed this type of situation in practice for him to be looking for that guy going off the field. If they would have prepared him for this type of situation, that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, and the really pathetic thing is that Nagy in the post-game press conference talking about the play says Justin has to figure out how to adjust if he sees that 12th man coming off the field.
Obviously.
The kid's a rookie, Nagy.
You're not coaching him properly.
Unbelievable. This guy is a weasel. He is a I didn't like Mark
everybody
Trestman.
else's fault but his.
I didn't like Mark Trestman, but God, This is a new level of scum.
Yeah.
Trestman wasn't a scumbag. He was just incompetent. I mean,
Nagy
Nagy's
is
a scumbag.
Yeah, he's all about self-preservation. And nowhere was that more evident in trying to pander to the front office and ownership, trying to say that he has not lost the locker room, that, oh, we all recognize together back there that we need to come together, and this has brought us closer as a team. Bullshit. What that means is you have no clue what you're doing, and the team is on the verge of saying bye-bye. They're checking out on you.
And you look at what could happen to this team next year. Robinson's gone. Hicks gone.
Yeah.
If Khalil Mack wants to request a trade, he could pull one of those wonderful, great moves that we've seen all these other, stud players pull over the recent years and say, all right, I don't want to play for this dung heap anymore.
And you know what? In this regard, I wouldn't blame him because it is probably the worst situation in football.
And here's my question.
And how many coaches actually did not go to the Bears because Nagy and Pace are on the hot seat? The instability of it.
And here's my question. We have been sitting here for weeks and weeks waiting to get rid of Nick Foles, to try to, you and I, thinking about running the team as best as possible, much better than Nagy and Pace could ever hope to do, trying to open up some cap room, waiting for them to try to get rid of Nick Foles. The Jets, Zach Wilson goes down 2 to 4 weeks with a PCL injury.
Yeah.
And what do? They go to the freaking Eagles. And they get Joe Flacco back for a conditional 6th. I would have killed for the Bears to trade Foles for a conditional 6th. Just to save the goddamn money.
That would have been the
What are they expecting to get from him? They're not getting better than that.
No. Pace, I don't know what the hell he's thinking. He's got to be smoking the same stuff as the people down in Texas, in Houston there. They're still wanting a king's ransom for Watson. The Panthers were now rumored to have shown interest.
They backed off.
Probably because Houston still wants way too damn much. And they're not going to get what they want.
And of course, Goodell came out here and very vague about, we don't have all the information on the Deshaun Watson situation. Thanks, Roger. So you're keeping how many teams in your league held hostage?
Because you're an incompetent boob who can't make a decision.
Teams that would trade for Deshaun Watson, the Texans who want to get rid of him.
Ugh. And then how bad Goodell is. Oh, we're not going to make any of the findings on the Washington football team public. No, but you sure as hell leaked enough out to get your arch nemesis out of the league, didn't you?
Yeah, it really seems more and more like he was definitely trying to just get Gruden out of the league.
Yeah, here you leak that crap.
It was a personal vendetta.
It was, and now you don't hear you won't release anything else. That stinks to high heaven.
Yeah, he comes out and he says, "Oh well, Dan Snyder's paid his toll. He's bullshit.
Crap.
Bullshit. If they were actually sending emails on the Washington football team's account of topless cheerleaders back and forth,
then that's public information,
and that's reprehensible. Hey, I can be a Neanderthal with the best of them, but I'm not doing it on my work email.
That's right.
Nobody wants to see topless cheerleaders more than the maestro. But guess what? I'm smart enough not to do it at work.
There's a time and place.
And these people are in charge of one of the 32 valuable, multi-billion-dollar franchises in the NFL, and they're tossing around topless pics like it's nothing?
That's a horrible situation.
And then Goodell says, we're done with it because I got rid of Chucky, because I was able to get rid of Chucky because Chucky didn't like me.
Yeah. No.
Is this
That
petty
does not
schoolyard
fly.
shit or what?
This is
And it's not because I like John Gruden. I stick up for John Gruden. The emails he sent out, he should not have used the language he used, and he definitely was dumb in sending them to an NFL account.
Absolute stupidity there.
But this is turning out to be more and more like a witch hunt to get rid of John Gruden. How is Dan Snyder still allowed to own a goddamn NFL team when the Clippers years ago
ousted their owner
over a questionable video, which I still think was illegal? In the state of California, you are not allowed to record a conversation without consent. Yet the concubine did, and got Donald Sterling basically to give up the Clippers.
They blackballed him, and he was forced to sell the team.
See, I got the cheese out. Sorry, kids. I was ready to rock and roll tonight, and Dave tempted me with hot cheese.
And this coming from the guy, the commissioner, that you have tried to defend against everything
I always try. I tried to defend Roger Goodell. I've tried to defend Ryan Pace. I tried to defend Theo Epstein.
And you can't. Because I
always stick with these people about a year or two longer than I should.
I've been ripping Goodell for how many years now?
Yep.
For being an idiot, a money-grubbing sack who kowtows down to the owners, who won't do what's really best for the league, only what's best for the pocketbooks.
Talking about the Texans, by the way, they still keep shedding players. It's obvious they're not even trying to win, as they trade Mark Ingram back to the New Orleans Saints to give Alvin Kamara some much-needed backup help.
Yeah, Kamara's got too much of a workload. He needs to be spelled regularly. Yes. And then you got the Texans chairman and CEO, McNair, apologizing for a racist comment he made back in May at a golf tournament. The racist comment was he called COVID the China virus.
You can't do that. Donald Trump got in trouble for that. You can't do
sorry.
That. No, but
that's where it originated from. That is not a racist freaking statement.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying we've already been through this with Donald Trump. And it's already been established.
Why does he have to apologize how many months after the fact for this crap? I'm so tired of it.
I agree. But I'm just saying, once these people, these cancel culture assholes out there establish something, we can't go back from it. And they established the fact with Donald Trump that you can't call it the Chinese virus.
Even though that's where it originated.
Even though it could be factual, the cancel culture douchebags in this world who we don't call to, who we don't bow down to, because we're Sports Frenzy 2.0 and we don't give a rat's ass about cancel culture. I'm just stating they've established the rules for other people.
But not themselves.
We'll call COVID
whatever the hell we want.
The Chinese virus. We'll call it whatever we want.
It's the new flu. Get over it.
We'll call it the rock and roll hoochie coo. We don't care what you think of us. Well, now Rick Derringer might, because
we just
now Rick Derringer's going to be mad at us
for putting his song in with the pandemic.
Rick, I was just trying to make a point. I love the song. It's not the virus.
It was just an example of how stupid and out of control this crap has gotten.
Yes. And I have a feeling Rick might actually be laughing somewhere. All right. So let's look back at last week's NFL picks.
The debacles that were.
The Thursday night game. I cannot believe the Browns won This has got to be the death knell for Vic Fangio as head coach of the Broncos.
It's got to be. That understaffed Browns team pulled it off. And like I said,
without Nick Chubb, without Kareem Hunt, without Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the Broncos and the underachieving defense.
That's the sad thing, is the Broncos defense is being as bad as it is, with Fangio being the guru.
And the Browns. And the Browns. I mean, this was a low-scoring game, 17-14. The Broncos, with who they have on offense versus with all the injuries on the Cleveland side, should have been able to put up more than 14 points.
Should have, but they failed miserably.
Now, is that an indictment on Teddy Bridgewater? Because he was hurt. Everybody's freaking hurt. I am so
There's
tired.
Not one team that doesn't have injuries.
Everybody's hurt. Get over it. Play through it. You freaking snowflakes.
How many millions are you getting paid?
How many players from the 80s and the 90s are sitting here going right now, Jesus God, I would never have been allowed to sit on the bench with that type of injury.
Hello, Ronnie Lott.
Sliced a finger off.
Got it caught up in a face mask, had him take it off, wrap it up, and he was right back out there a play later.
That's right. So Cleveland wins, so they are still viable for not only the NFC North, but a wild card. But the game that really screwed them was the Bengals-Ravens.
How in the hell did the Ravens lay an egg at their home nest that badly after looking so good and dominant?
Or are the Bengals that good? Are the Bengals
They
that
lost
good?
to the Bears. The Bengals lost to the Bears. This does not compute.
But we talked about this. Burrow had the worst 5 minutes a quarterback could ever possibly have. And if it wasn't for that, they probably would have beat the Bears.
Probably.
He's coming off a catastrophic knee injury. Jamar Chase is still getting acclimated.
It was early in the season. Maybe they're starting to find it. I don't know.
But he threw, 3 picks and 3 throws, didn't he?
Yeah.
He just had a terrible quarter there, a terrible stretch.
But the Ravens, come on.
The Ravens were looking like the best team in the NFL until this game.
Yeah, and then they completely folded. I mean, defense disappeared. The offense couldn't do anything.
And you got to wonder, when we get to the point where these committees, we've talked about this, and it's not just fantasy football, because it sucks for fantasy football. It's destroying my life. But when do we get to the point where we get tired of these committees for running back?
Oh, God.
Can't we just pick a guy? Derrick Henry is not the only great running back out there. He is the best. He is a phenomenal running back. He is the second coming of Earl Campbell. But if you give somebody else a chance, I'm telling you, there's another kid out there.
Montgomery for the Bears was having a hell of a season.
Even Khalil Herbert.
And Herbert now being the main back. You settle on a guy, occasionally you pull him for a breather, but you stick with
25 carries a game. This is like the analytics geeks in baseball. Seriously, 25 to 30 carries a game for a stud young running back is not unheard of.
No, that's what's needed, because you keep pounding and pounding, and the end of the third quarter, into the fourth, the defense is wiped, they're gassed, and your running back is going to take off with those big gains.
And you can look at the Browns and say, hey, look how it's working out with Chubb and Hunt, and then you bring in D'Ernest.
Yeah. No, they don't get any rhythm going, though.
That's my point. Thank you.
You have to have a rhythm. You can't keep swapping out a running back every other play, because you have to block differently for each one's running style.
Right.
Or your offensive line needs some consistency.
Right. Or you see, if you're the defense, one particular guy comes in, like Kareem Hunt. If I'm playing the Browns and I see Kareem Hunt come in,
I
I'm
know
thinking
there's
more
going to be pass screen.
I'm thinking it's more of a pass than it's going to be a run.
And if you know Chubb's coming in, you know they're going to do probably a power run more up the middle.
So you're
bringing the other guy, you know you're going more off tackle.
Right. You have got to mix it up. You've got to have a guy who can catch the ball as well as run.
And not just run between the tackles, but be able to bounce it outside. You have to have a guy who can do all three phases of the running game.
And this is why we named our fantasy football trophy after Marshall Faulk and Priest Holmes. Because those two, above all others, epitomize what Dave just said. They could do it all. They could run up the middle. They could run outside. They could catch a screen pass. That's why they are the fantasy studs of all time.
Exactly.
And right now, outside of Derrick Henry, who's basically still just doing it up the middle.
Right.
He does not run. He catches 2 or 3 passes a game, but you just can't stop the guy running up the middle.
Right. And the team blocks for him. They know his strength. They open up just enough for him to power through.
Speaking of, the Titans demolished the Chiefs, and now we have to wonder about Kansas City. Oh, I feel so bad for the Chiefs. Pity party for the Chiefs. Pity party for Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes. Not Patrick, Pat Mahomes and his arrogant family.
So that whole team has gone arrogant. And they started buying their own hype, and they're paying for it.
And now it's going to get worse. The sad thing for them is that this was a year they should have still been good, because I think next year is when Mahomes' contract kicks in, his extension.
Yeah, and they're not going to be able to pay
anybody. When they're paying their quarterback nearly $50 million a year.
Yeah, you don't have money to spread around at all.
As it is right now, they're obviously not paying the defense enough because it's tissue paper.
Yeah, it's bad. And then the offense, what the hell happened to that offense? They are not clicking at all.
No, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire getting injured, I don't think that's a big deal.
That's not the be-all, end-all.
Bringing Darrell Williams in was not that was only a minor downgrade. But, yeah, you've got Tyreek Hill, you've got Kelsey, but now you're starting to see what else have you got. You can't pay for that great number 2 stud receiver like some other teams have got. And again, you've got the worries on defense. The offensive line was supposed to be better this year. It's not that good. The Buccaneers in the Super Bowl exposed them.
Yep. All you have to do is shut down Kelsey and shut down Hill.
And rush Mahomes. And then
put pressure on, and he can't do anything.
Yep, and all he thinks he has to do is do a State Farm commercial.
And there you go. He's more worried about those.
I couldn't be more happy with the fact that Chiefs are choking right now. Oh, God. And the Panthers are choking as well. Team got off to a 3-0 start.
And
we talked about this game, Panthers at the Giants. We both talked about the fact we were worried.
We were worried about the health of the Panthers and the direction they were going. But it was the lowly Giants. And God, the Giants actually showed up.
And Sam Darnold showed up as usual. Sam Darnold is not anything better than a second-string backup quarterback.
Yep.
And that's why all of a sudden, after this game, you heard those rumors you talked about earlier, where the Panthers were all of a sudden
maybe interested in Watson.
Back in on Watson. Yep.
So Foles is available.
I swear to God, if we don't get better than a 6th for Foles after this Flacco deal, I'm going to be so mad.
I know.
At Pace. Oh, my God.
The guy is an idiot. But going back to Darnold, this guy was so hyped going to be USC's starter. He's going to be the next Heisman winner. He never panned out really for USC. He always crapped the bed in the big games. He never played a full game stellar.
No.
He always showed moments of being an iffy, wishy-washy quarterback. And I was surprised he actually got drafted as high as he did.
Yep.
And he's showing that he should not have been.
All right, moving on to this week's games. Big game tomorrow night, Thursday the 28th. Although
COVID has hit the Packers hard.
No Devontae Adams, no defensive coordinator. So everybody of the 7 of our 8 panelists who've got their picks in, taking the Cardinals. Gonna cherry pick here. Steelers at Browns.
This
it's
is
a
gonna
very
be
interesting game now that the Ravens lost.
There's a lot
has
on the
tightened
line.
things up in the AFC North. I will take the Browns, even if it's just Case Keenum. I'm expecting Nick Chubb back, and that will make all the difference. Ben does not look like Big Ben.
No, and I took the Browns last week against the Broncos, but I am going against them with the Steelers.
You are going with Sam and Nick and Doug. Aaron and Bill are going with me. Titans at Colts. The Colts looked very impressive Sunday night in a monsoon, I don't know, bomb, cyclone, whatever the hell they wanted to call that.
Yeah. You know, that was just an ugly game.
What was that more the ineptitude? This is where I want to go to Kyle Shanahan real quick. Is that more the Colts look good or the 49ers are getting
exposed
overhyped
for what they are?
Yes.
Yes.
Is Kyle Shanahan keeping his job because he's Mikey's little boy?
The 49ers are getting shown as being an overhyped
I'm
team.
getting tired of hearing the excuses about the injuries.
Everybody's got them. But going to this one, the Colts have shown that they can play here and there throughout this year. And right now, out of all the picks, I'm on Colts Island. My thought behind this is we've seen the Titans playing well. How many other teams have we seen play well and fall off the cliff on a game that they should win? That's why I'm going with the Colts. I'm banking on the way this whole season has gone.
I have to be honest with you. I was very close to taking the Colts. But again, I was thinking, were the Colts that good or were the 49ers that bad? Because I saw Carson Wentz do Carson Wentz on a play or two during that game.
And the
Titans are starting to round into what I expected them to be.
Agreed, but this is the second game that these two have played.
Right.
And the Colts folded in the second half, letting Henry run all over them. I see the Colts making the necessary adjustments.
All right. I almost joined you on
Deep
Colts
analysis.
Island. My boat was about ready to dock on Colts Island with you, and then I turned away and decided to go back out into the ocean with the Titans. Buccaneers at Saints. This is a pivotal game for the NFC South because this will pretty much win the South for the Buccaneers if they win this game.
If they win this one, yes.
And I did not see enough from the Saints in Seattle to make me think that Jameis is a game manager now, and you cannot beat the Buccaneers being a game manager. You got to be a gunslinger like Matt Stafford was in the one game where the Buccaneers lost.
Yes.
I see the Buccaneers actually winning this game easily.
Yeah, the Bucs defense can be exposed if you can throw deep on them. That's going to be the key. Winston has the arm to do it.
But Michael Thomas isn't back yet. I still don't know if he's going to get traded.
And Sean Payton, I don't think, has the confidence in Winston to let him go yet.
Yep. And then Sunday night, Cowboys at Vikings. Everybody is taking the Cowboys. It'll be a close game, I think, but in the end, even though it's in Minnesota, the Cowboys look good. Maybe they finally got it going on.
Yep, top scoring offense in the league.
Yep. So, all right, kids, stay tuned. We will have NCAA football coming for you next. We'll be right back.
Yes. Listen, you will, to Sports Frenzy 2.0, you must. Much to learn from the maestro and conquistador there is for entertainment every Saturday. On Spotify, Anchor, Google, Apple, and everywhere are they found.
Hey kids, segment 2 of Sports Frenzy 2.0 here as we record on October 27th, 2021. I'm the Conquistador Dave Height.
I'm the maestro, Kevin Crane.
And this is your NCAA football recap show.
Didn't have a massive amount of upsets in the top tier.
No, but it's another interesting week.
Yes. The 9 overtime game has to be addressed.
Oh my God. The
Are we
lowest scoring overtime game ever with this new 2-point rule.
Yeah, are we supposed to say this was a monumental achievement or a battle of ineptitude, considering how low the score was with 9 overtimes?
I know that I don't like limiting to 2 points for a touchdown in overtime. That's just wrong on every level. Give them the full 6, and after the second overtime, make them go for 2. There you go.
In the end, Penn State loses to Illinois, basically destroying any chance they would have of getting into the college football playoff.
Yeah, lowly Illinois. That's, I don't know. That's like Iowa losing to Purdue at home.
Well, and the sad thing is, James Franklin, the head coach of Penn State, who I have on this show backed and thought he's a really good, he came from Vanderbilt, took over the Penn State job, took that over in a mess.
Yeah, that program was in shambles.
And he turned it around and it has got it in relevance again.
Yeah.
But this week, after this 9 overtime debacle, talking to him about playing Ohio State.
Yep.
Who I did not put on the slate this week because, again, the point spread is above 10.
Yep, and with all the rumors of him being up for LSU or USC, he's saying, no, that wasn't a distraction. I find that hard to believe that team wasn't distracted playing Illinois. That should have been a cakewalk.
Well, look at his press conference here a day or two ago, where he couldn't even remember he was playing Ohio State.
Yeah.
He mentioned 2 different teams at 2 different points in the press conference.
He's checked out on that program. He's looking elsewhere at this point. That's telling when a coach doesn't know they have the biggest game of the season right in front of them that they should be preparing for. Yeah. And he can't even tell you that team.
Yeah. You're playing Ohio State, yet you keep botching it and mentioning other lowly teams in the Big Ten.
Yeah, you are definitely looking at one of the other 2 jobs out there.
Yep. Texas Tech fired their head coach, Matt Wells.
Yep, after underperforming.
That team intrigues me.
They've always been an intriguing team, though.
See, I'm just looking at it as if I was a college football head coach at a smaller D1 or a D2 school, Texas Tech seems to have the offense in place all the time.
Yeah, they've got a good coordinator there who you don't get rid of.
They could sneeze and put up 40 points.
Yeah. They lack some defense.
Can somebody bring in a defensive mentality? And I guarantee that team, now especially with Oklahoma and Texas leaving, could dominate the Big 12 if they get the right guy in.
They could definitely be going head-to-head with Oklahoma State.
Yep.
And Baylor. But Texas Tech, Mike Leach built that program up and got them on the scene of relevancy.
Of course, Leach then went to Washington State and now at Mississippi State.
Yeah.
As a pirate, he goes from port to port.
He's like Rick Majerus was in college basketball, where he bounced around from team to team.
Yeah, he wears his welcome out quickly.
Yeah.
He does. But he will bring your program up for the first 2 or 3 years to a certain point, but no further.
Right.
And again, with all the openings in college football that we see and all the moving around, everybody, oh, I want the LSU job. Jimbo wants the LSU job. This person, James Franklin, wants the USC job. Texas Tech intrigues me. I think they are one good coach away from being a top 10 program. That's the Maestro's take.
There you go. Wise words.
All right. Speaking of moving from port to port and around, we've talked about in the past month all these movements, all the seismic shifts that are happening in terms of teams moving from one conference to another. We did have another move this week.
We do.
Southern Mississippi leaves Conference USA.
Another nail in the coffin for Conference USA.
Yep, so they're heading for the Sun Belt, and now rumors are Marshall and Old Dominion might follow, and that will definitely destroy Conference USA.
Yeah.
And nobody's rooting for that. Nobody wants to see it. But we said at some point, once the dominoes started to fall with the Oklahoma, Texas move,
you were going to see bigger conferences, and at least one conference was going to have to fold.
And that's what we're looking at. It looks like it's going to be Conference USA. Yep. All right, kids. Let's look back at last week's games.
Well, before we do that, we're talking about coaching changes. We do have Mike Tomlin from the Steelers has come out and said, I am not going to college. Don't even ask me again. Had to be addressed.
Yes, and he did it so colorfully, too.
Yes,
and once again,
he did.
As Mike Tomlin always does, don't even talk about that. I don't even want to talk about that. Don't you bring that up again. I'm not a big Mike Tomlin fan, but his press conferences are gold. They are
He
gold.
is one of the best press conference guys.
Yes.
You can always get some good nuggets out of there.
I aspire to be like him on Sports Frenzy. I do. And again, thank you for the Conquistador for jumping in, because I'm looking at our slate from last week and it's just
garbage.
Boy, it's dog crap. I'm looking at these games and I'm going, which one should we discuss? Because there really wasn't that much of significance that happened last week outside of that 9 overtime game.
Yeah, that was
Notre Dame beat USC, but wow, shocking considering USC is in disarray.
Yep.
Pittsburgh beating Clemson is interesting.
Yes,
I think that says something about both
Clemson
teams.
Is on as cyclical as things are. Clemson might be on that little down cycle,
but this is a big down cycle.
It is.
That's 3 losses already for them.
Yeah, that hurts. And I don't. They're not set at quarterback. That's their problem.
Yep. And Pittsburgh looks like their offense could be the real deal.
Yeah, because Clemson does not have a bad defense.
Right.
Which was definitely interesting.
But otherwise, we had a lot of games on the slate last week with non-ranked teams. So let's move on to this week.
Just because I picked better than you.
No, that's not why.
I know. We've got a lot going on here.
You're still not winning.
No, I let Doug get one more on me. So now I'm 2 behind him instead of 1.
So let's go on to this week's pick, where we have at least almost every game involving a ranked team.
This makes it fun when the ranked teams have such a close point spread.
Right.
This is what we live for.
This is going to be an interesting week, kids. So, number 9, Iowa, going into Wisconsin to play the Badgers.
A resurgent Badger team, or did they just...
I think so.
No, they just got lucky against a bad Purdue team.
Who beat Iowa?
Iowa was looking beyond them. I still not... Like we talked about, we didn't buy into Wisconsin, but you still went with Purdue. I didn't buy into Wisconsin, but I still took them. I'm going to get burned by Iowa this week.
Well, Nick and I are taking Wisconsin. I don't know what kind of vote of confidence that is, considering Nick is in last place in our football picks, but I think Wisconsin's got something figured out, and I think Iowa is doing the Ferents. They are just going to start losing and losing and losing and proving who they really are.
Now, this is one of those games where they won't, because Wisconsin's not that bad. They'll wait until they get Nebraska.
If it was in Iowa, I would take Iowa, but it's in Wisconsin. I'll take the Badgers.
There we go.
All right, Texas at number 16, Baylor. I had to erase on this one. All the pundits, all the geniuses who know everything about college football kept saying, take Texas, take Texas, take Texas.
No.
And I kept looking back at our past week slates, and I kept going, Texas burn me, Texas burn me, Texas burn me. Why the hell would I take Texas away on the road at Baylor, who has actually been pretty good for me this year?
Exactly. And you look at the stats that the teams are putting up, even on paper, Baylor is the better team.
So we all take Baylor. So what's going to happen? Texas is going to win. Big game up in Michigan. Number 6, Michigan at number 8, Michigan State. I know I shouldn't buy into Harbaugh, but I find it even harder to buy into the Spartans right now. They're on the up.
They are on the up.
But they need another year.
Michigan looks better than Michigan State.
Yeah, Michigan State is getting themselves back together again after the shambles that were left when Mark D'Antoni left.
Under bad circumstances.
Yes, bad circumstances. They're getting there. But I still think they're a year away. If Jim Harbaugh cannot win this game,
then he needs to be fired.
Well, no, he won't be fired, but he'll have to gracefully resign.
Well,
because you know what's coming in a couple weeks.
Yep.
The ass
Ohio
whooping. The
annual ass whooping of the Wolverines.
He's got to at least get to that game undefeated.
Yeah.
To save face. If he loses it and that's his first loss, he'll save face.
Yeah. Yeah, the Buckeyes will probably wind up skinning the Wolverines yet again.
All right, so you and I and Sam and Nick are taking Michigan.
Lord.
Aaron, Doug, and Bill are taking the Spartans. Number 22, Iowa State at West Virginia. This was an easy one. I mean, the point spread kind of shocked me. It's only 7.5.
Yeah, but Iowa State's a much better team than West Virginia.
Yep, so everybody's taking Iowa State. Number 19, SMU at Houston. A little bit trickier game to pick.
This one was really tough. And again, as we talked about with some of the patterns we've seen in the NFL, this is an undefeated SMU team and a one-loss Houston team. I went with the home team on this one. This one's going to be a hell of a game.
Yep, you and Bill took Houston. Everybody else takes SMU, but I could see this being a coin flip. Of course, the point spread opened pretty much close to even. Yeah. So TCU at Kansas State. TCU and Kansas State are two of those teams that I end up putting on the slate almost every week because
The
they're
point
those.
spread's so damn
Yeah.
close.
Yep. And of course, now they get the butt heads. TCU, burn me, just like Texas. Burn me over and over and over again. I'll take K-State because they're more reliable at home. Yep. We got TCU for Doug and Aaron. Everybody else takes Kansas State. Number 10, Mississippi. At number 18, Auburn. This is a phenomenal game.
This is going to be a barn burner.
Tough game to pick. I went back and forth on this. I just don't find the appeal in Auburn, even at home. I think Lane Kiffin has got Mississippi playing really well.
That's the thing. Mississippi is playing so well, and Auburn has been kind of
up and down,
and
So everybody's taking Ole Miss except for Bill is taking Auburn. I can't say it's a bad pick. I think this is a coin flip.
Yeah.
Number 12, Kentucky at Mississippi State. This is one where even though the Conquistador and I picked differently, I can see why he went the way he did.
I'm on Mississippi State Island at this point.
And I don't think that's a bad place to be.
No.
Kentucky, as good as they have looked this year, and they have been building that program up and up, the Pirate always tends to screw you
That's right.
at the worst possible times, and this could be the week where he screws Kentucky.
Kentucky is one of those programs that, yes, they're there, but when they have a chance to try and get that big win to try and push them over the top, they just can't do it.
They're a basketball school.
Yes.
That's why football is secondary, and like you said, that's why they never seem to be able to get over that hump in football.
Right.
And that's why I can see your pick. I believe in your pick, but I can't trust the Pirate. I can't trust the Pirate.
Again, I'm looking at those patterns of where things will go.
I'm going to go with Kentucky and their fat little girlfriends over Mississippi State. North Carolina at number 11, Notre Dame. We've all got Notre Dame here.
Yeah, North Carolina's been a disappointment this year.
Yeah, this game on paper at the beginning of the year looked like it was going to be a barn burner, could be a battle for that final spot in the college football playoff, last slot for the Final Four. Now
neither team has looked that great, but North Carolina looks even worse than Notre Dame has.
UCLA at Utah. This one is interesting because Utah shit the bed last week. Lost to Oregon State. We all had Utah except for Aaron. I do not trust Utah anymore this year. More. I've been
burned by Chip.
No more.
I've been burned by UCLA.
I looked at UCLA this year. They're better on the road than they are at home. I will take UCLA.
You take UCLA. I'm going Utah.
I am not alone, though. Doug and Aaron are both taking UCLA. Everybody else takes Utah. Virginia at number 25, BYU, another great matchup. Virginia is much better than people give them credit for.
They have sneakily put up a really damn good season.
Yes.
They do not get any mention. Looking at everything, I'm like...
It's because the ACC's trash. Now with Clemson having a bad year, the ACC is a dumpster fire.
They are, but even a decent team doesn't even get mentioned out of there right now.
Right. So I'm taking Virginia.
I'm taking Virginia.
So is Bill. Everybody else is taking BYU. BYU's had a good year. They've been up and down.
They've burned us.
But being independent, they're not getting quite the run and quite the scheduling they should if they were in a conference.
Yep. Big 12 would be good for them.
Yep. I could see them losing this game, but still running the table. And in the end of the year, after a bowl game, getting back in the top 25 because they are a solid program.
They always have been.
Fresno State at number 21, San Diego State to round out our college picks for the week. I just like San Diego State. I told you last week that run defense is stout.
They are good. They are tough to run against.
San Diego State will stumble at some point because it always happens with the smaller schools, but it's not going to happen this week.
No.
Although Bill thinks it will.
Bill is on Fresno State Island right now. So
yeah, I think San Diego State will jump into the top 20 here and then somehow stumble and get knocked off. But
not this week,
I really
kids.
like them. Yep, I really like them this week. All right, kids. We have got some nasty, nasty stuff to talk about next segment. I'm going to give...
not going to be pretty. I am disgusted.
The Conquistador is going to get to rant about the sorry state of the Chicago Blackhawks. We are first going to talk about the World Series and NASCAR. Then we will pass the floor off.
We'll go with the good before we get to the bad and ugly.
That's right, kids. So stay tuned. Segment 3 coming up. We'll be right back. Now that we've let you into Frenzy Club, here are 3 rules. 1, you don't talk about Sports Frenzy 2.0. You listen to it on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Apple, and all other major podcast hosts. 2 guys to a show. Kevin, Dave, the Maestro, and the Conquistador. 3, 1 Sports Frenzy episode at a time. Until Saturday, when you get the weekend edition. Now get in there and let loose on some PC wussbags, will ya?
This one.
All right, welcome back, Sports Frenzy 2.0, taping on the 27th of October, 2021. This will hit on the 28th. I am the Maestro, Kevin Crane.
I'm the Conquistador, Dave Height.
Baseball, NASCAR, and then, unfortunately, hockey. But we have to start off with the World Series. The baseball results from the ALCS and the NLCS. This has been pretty interesting. I have actually been watching a lot of these games.
I've been tuning in here and there, picking up what's going on, and damned if the Braves haven't looked a hell of a lot better than expected.
And the Astros are not cheaters anymore.
No, they are not.
You can't dismiss the Astros being cheaters now, can you? Despite the fact of what happened last night. Yes, the Braves won Game 1 in Houston. I guarantee that's going to change. The Braves could still end up winning the World Series.
They could.
But it's not going to be anything other than a close competitive series.
Yeah. And if it comes down to it, it's going to be because Charlie Morton fractured his fibula last night.
And the thing is, I watched that play, didn't think anything of it. And then when I heard overnight that he had broken his leg, I went back and got my DVR started from the point I left it.
Yeah.
And then I saw him in the third stumble off the mound after he got the first out.
Yeah, he landed awkwardly. It might have, when he got hit by that one hopper back at him, they took x-rays, there was nothing there. But it might have just been that minute enough of a hairline that when he landed awkwardly, throwing that curve, it was enough to put the fracture forward. And then to throw 16 more pitches after that?
Yeah. He's a gamer, man. He is a great pitcher. He's a mercenary. He jumps from team to team.
Yeah.
But now maybe things are evened out because McCullers is again out for the Astros. So now both teams are without the races. So now the Braves are looking
the playing field a
another bullpen game on top of what they already planned.
Yeah, that's going to hurt them.
And God help me, I can't stand these bullpen games.
I don't like them either.
The things that baseball has done to try to speed the game up, these bullpen games slow everything down.
These 4+ hour playoff games have got to end.
Yeah,
this is freaking ridiculous.
This is why I didn't watch the full game last night. It's because the first inning took almost an hour.
I know, it was ridiculous. There is no reason that these games should be taking as long as they do. If ever you needed a reason to see a pitch clock implemented, this is freaking it. I love the game of baseball. I cannot sit through 3+ hours anymore. Sorry, done. It can't happen.
They have got to find a way. I don't know what kind of rules, regulations you have to tweak, you have to change, but you're destroying the record books, number one, because we've talked about, God forbid, you're not getting a 300-win pitcher anymore. You're not going to get a 200-win pitcher anymore, the way things are going.
No, because you have to pull these guys after 4 or 5. Because, your stats geniuses, your sabermetrics boys say you can't have somebody go through the batting order for a 3rd time.
Isn't that the truth?
That's bullshit.
That's all I've heard over and over again this whole year is that pitcher can't face a lineup 3rd time through.
Bullshit. Yes, they can.
Max Scherzer can.
Any of your aces.
Garrett Cole can.
From the dawn
of
time,
point where there's like 5 pitchers who can actually be trusted to go into the 3rd time around in a lineup?
From the dawn of time.
Come on.
Pitchers have been going, pitching 9, getting complete games. Not anymore, because the freaking geniuses had to get involved. I'm sorry. You want your pitcher to get through? Change up how you throw to everybody. These guys are smart enough, should be smart enough, and should be able to locate and spot.
Isn't that what we want? Don't we want Max Scherzer, Clayton Kershaw when he's healthy, Kyle Hendricks, Lucas Giolito? We want these guys to pitch 6, 7, 8 innings. We want to see them.
I want to see more complete games.
Stop acting like these guys can't do it.
And the other problem
is... And then you're paying them more to do less.
And then they're telling the pitchers, flirt with the strike zone. Try and tempt them. Get that slider. No.
Overpower.
Your best frickin' pitchers are the ones who attack the strike zone with their power pitches, and then they go to some off-speed stuff, which they still keep in the zone. Keep the batter guessing.
And I think this is going to be the downfall of baseball. You want to bring in more fans. You're going to lose your old fans like Dave and I with this whole bullpen start crap.
The other thing with speeding up the game, how many times do the counts go full? How many frickin' times do you have a batter facing 10, 12 pitches, fouling things off because, they're just off the corner. They're just out of the zone. You know what? If the pitchers throw strikes, balls get put into play. The defense stays awake. They make the defensive play. Not everybody's going to be hitting a damn home run or getting a base hit. Put the ball in play. Let the defense get the out. That's going to speed the damn game up. Attack the damn strike zone.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah! All hail the conquistador.
We should be running sports.
So, of course, going back to ALCS, the Astros did beat the Red Sox 4-2. Yordan Alvarez was the MVP of the ALCS. In the NLCS, the Braves beat the Dodgers 4-2, which was shocking in how handily they did it.
Oh, my God. Their pitching shut the Dodgers down because we fully expected the Dodgers to pull off one of those late inning rallies.
Eddie Rosario was the MVP.
Right.
Of course, you would know him from the Twins.
Yeah.
Now, Chris Taylor had a game for the ages in Game 5 when the Dodgers were trying to scratch back 3 home runs.
That was an impressive performance.
But the interesting thing about the deciding game, Game 6, and I said last week, when I was talking about playoff performers over the last 20 years who have really stepped up, guys who maybe were okay in the regular season who ended up being better in the postseason. Max Scherzer let me down. Max Scherzer did not want to pitch in Game 6 for the Dodgers. He had a dead arm, he said.
Yeah, he knew his limitations.
Okay, he knew his limitations,
but he still
boy,
could have
that's
gone out
not
and
what you
started.
want out of a big game
That's not-
pitcher.
You expected him to go out there and take the ball to at least start the game.
Because you put Buehler out there on 3 days rest and you ended up getting knocked out.
Yeah. So maybe Scherzer might have had enough in the tank to go a couple innings. That way you didn't have to rely
Almost a semi-bullpen game.
Yeah, semi, because you could have run both Scherzer and Buehler out there.
Right. Because at that point, you've got to win the game.
Yeah. You could have started Scherzer.
And that's what disappointed
got 2
me.
out of him,
Right.
and then gone to Buehler, and then hit the bullpen.
Right. So I will back off on my praise a little bit on Max Scherzer. As much as I love him, this was a performance or a non-performance that let me down. I did like the fact that Atlanta kind of got some revenge, though, after all the political bullshit
Yeah.
with the All-Star game. And we're going to pull the All-Star game out of Atlanta because we don't like the way you're voting.
Guess what?
On the voting bill.
Suck it up. Now you have to play the World Series there.
And guess what? They could end up now with a 1-0 lead, end up being your baseball champions.
Wouldn't that be karma? I would love to see that, just to give a big FU to all you asshats out there.
Yeah, what was it? Last night was the first win they had in the World Series in 25 years.
Yeah.
Jesus. And you think of the Braves, and you think of success, and you think of, winning divisions over and over.
Yeah.
But I guess, they have never really had a ton of World Series success. So, and again, you look at what they've gone through. They lost the greatest young player, one of the greatest young players in baseball, in Acuna Jr., and their GM, all credit to him, rebuilt that outfield with a couple ex-Cubs, by the way, with Jock Peterson and Jorge Soler.
Yeah, that's kind of scary there, isn't it?
All right, 2 other things. Move on to NASCAR. I gotta be an asshole here. I got to. Number 1, who the hell? When you've got talent like the Conquistador and the Maestro, who the hell said Tom Verducci had any kind of charisma or any kind of ability to get in front of a camera and talk about baseball? He might be a great baseball writer. Oh my God.
The man is an incompetent twit.
I'm Tom Verducci, and I'm going to talk about the Atlanta Braves and their pitching staff right now. Jesus Christ! Who the hell decided he should have any kind of say on national network TV?
My God, moss grows faster than this guy speaks and can
He
put a
has
thought together.
The personality of a toad with a toothpick driven through his brain.
Oh, I was going to say a slug being eaten by salt, but
Jesus God!
The man was abysmally bad.
And then, of course, because of the whores they are, Major League Baseball has got to now figure out new and exciting ways to drive advertising revenue. So now they are putting digital imprints on the pitcher's mound.
Yeah, they've been doing that most of the year.
Oh my God. Whores! You whores! Enough! When are you gonna... Okay, so we've decided, looking at the screen, we can put an ad in the upper left and the lower left.
Well, hockey's been doing it for years by imposing ads around the glass.
I'm fine with that, but on the freaking pitcher's mound?
Yeah. You got it behind home plate.
I was okay with the stuff behind home plate. So what's next? On home plate, you're going to do an overview of home plate and have like, what, a Sonic logo on home plate?
Yeah. Well,
no, enough!
You know
I
what?
have had enough!
I have it. Chex Cereal is going to be the sponsor of the check swing cameras on the corners of home plate.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
I want my revenue for that idea, Chex.
You need to get home. I was going to say, you need to get home and call them.
I want credit for this.
Who is that? General Mills?
General Mills. I
can't remember.
I gotta look it up
upstairs. We'll go look it up. I don't want you to get robbed. I do not want you to get robbed for that. You deserve that.
Here we are, October 27, 2021. Sports Frenzy 2.0.
Market.
The Conquistador says Chex Cereal sponsors the check swing camera.
Yeah, that's my man. All right, moving on to a sport who really doesn't give a rat's ass. They'll sponsor anything, anywhere, anytime. NASCAR, because their cars have 57 goddamn sponsors on every car.
Not to mention the driver's suits.
Kansas City. I have issues.
I'm done.
Okay, Kyle Larson won at Kansas Speedway. 3rd win in a row, 9th of the year. I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that.
It's the crap fest behind.
But not only that, but here is my problem. Dave, I can't stand this anymore. Why do you reward Kyle Larson? Now he's going to be on the pole again at Martinsville. This is like rewarding a football team, an NFL team. If you win, we'll give you a home game next week. And if you win that, we'll give you a home. That's stupid. It makes no sense.
You and I have agreed on this the entire season that their formula is a joke.
You are handing, and I don't care. Kyle Larson gets his sweet revenge on NASCAR. I'm all for it. I'm rooting for him. I hope he tears it all apart.
The problem is their formula was a joke through the regular season. You're in the freaking playoffs. Make them damn well qualify. Make them earn their starting spot at this point. This formula bullshit has got to end.
You can't just hand the winner the pole for the next week.
That's counterintuitive to everything.
Counterintuitive! Did you hear that big word out of the Conquistador? You're not getting that on ESPN.
Short tracks everywhere around the country. Your fast qualifiers start at the back. Your winner from the previous week starts at the back. Make it a challenge for them.
And I don't want to hear the COVID excuse anymore. We're done with that. They should have been able to qualify.
Qualifying should have been taking place all damn year.
And I don't like this crap. You put the chase guys at the front, everybody else at the back.
No, bullshit. You make the chase guys earn it. I hate handing this stuff out.
And that's why, even though I am rooting for Kyle Larson because of the crap that happened to him last year, I do not like the way they're doing this. Do not hand the winner of the previous race the pole position for the next race. It's garbage.
It's horrible. It's a horrible precedent. It makes
no sense. That being said, picks for playoff race 9, the Xfinity 500 at Martinsville. This will be the final elimination race before Phoenix, the championship. We're all pretty much locked in now based on the fact you can only pick one driver per race over the last 10 races in the playoff format. So we're all kind of stuck and locked in now to who we have.
Yep, and the last 2 weeks have taken me out of title contention.
I've been out since
Logano blowing up 2 weeks ago. Busch wrecking this week, last week at Kansas.
Yep.
Nail in the coffin.
So what we've got here is I am taking Denny Hamlin. Unfortunately, so is the leader, the governor. So I'm going to have to hope that I can make up some ground and I am not going to win this thing.
No.
I have got to make up some ground at some point on everybody else and hopefully get up to 4th or 5th. Maybe.
I used Hamlin earlier on, so I am going to be going with Mr. Byron.
We talked
Lord
about
Byron.
this. We figured there were 9 guys that we were locked in to take throughout the 10 races, and you're going to have one race. And I took Byron at Talladega, and it burned my ass.
Byron runs fairly well at Martinsville.
Much better pick here, yeah. If I could go back. If I could turn back time. If I could find a way. Yes, I am not Cher. Although many people say I look like her.
Yeah, not even close.
Sam is taking Martin Truex Jr. Bill is taking Chase Elliott. Nick is taking Ryan Blaney. Aaron is taking Kyle Larson. So.
Very intriguing.
Yep. A couple other racing tidbits before I hand it over to the Conquistador for NHL. I did not know this when we were talking about the Cup Series schedule updates for 2022. I did not realize Xfinity is going to run on Portland's International Raceway.
Are they?
Next year.
Yes. I did not realize that.
Yeah, I don't think that was a recent development, but
intriguing.
So June the 4th, 2022, Xfinity will run on Portland's International Raceway. First time, I think, in 2 decades they've been up in the Northwest.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
So, interesting. I like this. I like the fact that NASCAR is trying to do different things with the schedule.
Yeah, they need to do that. They need to jump it around a little bit.
And finally, the next-gen test this week performed at Bowman Gray Stadium.
Wow, that's going back in the day.
Because they wanted to find a track that was somewhat similar to what they're going to run at the exhibition race in the LA Coliseum. And they, of course, pulled in Dale Jr., Smoke, Tony Stewart, and Clint Boyer.
I love the fact that they pulled in retired drivers to do this testing to avoid giving a competitive advantage to any current team.
Yep. And Smoke got to run longer than everybody else because he also did the tire test.
Yeah.
But he was very coy in his statements afterwards, basically saying,
still I haven't. Questionable with him being an owner.
Right. He said, he basically said, I haven't been in a car for 5 years, a NASCAR for 5 years, so I can't really comment. I think he basically alluded to softer tires were better, but he was being very, very, very non-committal in his statements.
There you go. All right. It's time for the bad and ugly. This week, we found out the fallout from that 2010 Blackhawks sexual assault that had taken place. The Jenner and Block law firm investigator Reed Shar, who was a former assistant U.S. attorney, handed over the results of the investigation to Rocky and Danny Wirtz, the owners of the Blackhawks, who had asked for this to take place. After interviewing 139 individuals, including the offender, Brad Aldrich, and John Doe, the Blackhawks player, who has since come out and made himself known as former player Kyle Beach. I'm not going to go through the ugly details. It's so horrendous what was done. But the incident was reported to Al McIsaac, who was then director of hockey operations. And on May 23rd, 2010, in the middle of the Stanley Cup playoff run, there was a meeting between then President John McDonough, aforementioned Al McIsaacson, GM Stan Bowman, Jay Bunk, Kevin Cheveldayoff, James Gary, and Joel Quenneville, the coach. It's come out that they elected to do nothing about Brad Aldrich. The playoffs were more important than a sexual assault. That is heinous and disgusting on every freaking level. I am so pissed off at these guys for not doing the right thing here. And the sad thing is, they didn't let the owners know what was going on. They were trying to do this internally, just among the hockey operations. Aldrich got a fucking Stanley Cup ring out of this. Spent a day with the cup and took it to a damn high school. This guy should have been nowhere near kids. Then, June 16th, after everything, Blackhawks HR called Aldrich in and said, "We're going to conduct an investigation or you could resign." He elected to resign, wound up going to a couple of different players, and then in Michigan, assaulted a 16-year-old high school player, which he was convicted of. On the way over to record tonight, I heard a clip. They had an interview with Kyle Beach, and this poor guy is beating himself up, wishing that he would have done more to protect this kid. And thankful that this kid brought it out so he could come forward. But there's no way Kyle Beach should feel responsible. He did what he was supposed to do by reporting it to the organization. They failed to act. It's inexcusable. Stan Bowman has now resigned. McIsaacson is gone. Of course, Joel Quenneville is a coach down in Florida. He will be talking to Bettman, and he needs to be held accountable for this. Kevin Cheveldayoff is now the GM with the Winnipeg Jets. His ass needs to be accounted for. I don't know how John McDonough can sleep at night knowing that this took place. James Gary. He was their frickin' psychologist for the team. Made the players feel it was their fault that this had taken place. Did not stick up for them at all. Absolutely freaking pathetic for a mental health specialist to take the side of an assaulter. Horrible. It's absolutely brutal. That read through this stuff. It will sicken you if you want to know the details. NHL has fined the Hawks $2 million, half of which is going to local organizations to support survivors. And like I said, Bettman is talking to Quenneville and Cheveldayoff, and they should face punishment for this. It's inexcusable that they allowed this to go on. And poor Beach is saying that he was subjected to comments in the locker room, during practice on the ice, around the United Center. Everybody knew what was going on, and nobody fucking said a thing. It's absolutely pathetic. And I'm ashamed to be a Blackhawks fan right now. There's just no freaking excuse for this. It's a sad state of affairs, and it damn well better be corrected. And this isn't the only instance where stuff like this has taken place. Canadian junior hockey has been rife with these problems with a couple of coaches that have finally served jail time. And it's got to fucking stop.
We joke around on this show. We call out people who are hypocrites. We call out people who are liars. But this is not an instance where people are lying. People are hypocrites in terms of the victims. There are victims here. I applaud the conquistador for bringing this out. This is a terrible, terrible situation with a team he loves, a team he has invested his heart and soul in. And for this to happen under their umbrella is a shame. And again, keep in mind, we joke. We call out the false. We call out the hypocrites. But again, there are no hypocrites here. They're just victims.
There's victims, and then there's the scum of the earth who have protected somebody who should not have been protected.
So don't think we just joke around here. We are exposing evil. We are exposing the nastiness, the cancel culture. This stuff needs to be brought out. This stuff needs to be exposed. We need to find the real evil in the world, not the garbage that the mass media wants to call evil.
There's having your feelings hurt, and then there's true injustice.
Stay tuned, kids. We'll be right back. In the fortress of solitary justice, two brave men hold the fate of the sports world in their hands, with the utterance of a single word: frenzy! These seemingly ordinary men become the maestro and the conquistador, destined to save the world from stupidity on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Apple, and all noble podcast hosts everywhere. Dave and Kev stand for truth, justice, and the frenzy way. Hey kids, welcome back to Sports Frenzy 2.0, taping here on the 27th of October, 2021. This will hit on the 28th. I'm the maestro, Kevin Crane.
I'm the conquistador, Dave Height. And yes, we are still in a somber, disgusted mood after that last segment.
So, of course, what are we going to do? We're going to talk about dumbasses of the week. But first, we've got a couple tidbits, nuggets that we skipped over in our previous three segments that we need to discuss. Of course, the Cubs, my team, have hired an assistant GM. Isan Bokhari comes over from Houston. I know, thank you. Got a little bit of a COVID thing going on there. And, of course, everything I read about him just disgusts me.
He's part of the cheating scandal?
He's a stat geek.
Oh, no.
He's a stat geek. He's got a degree in statistics, something like that. He is going to push analytics on this team.
So he's the one who's going to be making the managerial decisions and calling them down to Uncle Rossi.
Yeah, Uncle Rossi. For what good he did the past 2 years. His influence is going to be even less now with the stat geeks in charge. Conspiracy theory in baseball.
I remembered one tidbit that I need to bring up, but bring up your conspiracy.
All right. Mike Schilt got fired last week. We talked about that. Yep. Right?
Mm-hmm.
As the manager of the Cardinals, even though he had done a phenomenal job taking over from Mike Matheny.
Right.
The new manager for the Cardinals is Oliver Marmol.
Who?
The bench coach for Mike Schilt. So here's my question. Did Mr. Marmol kind of go behind
and
Schilt's back and
et tu, Brute?
There you go. I think Marmol went behind Schilt's back.
Do we have the Ides of October going on here, kids?
He said, well, if Schilt won't listen to you guys up in the front office with all your analytics and your genius takes on how we should shift the defense and where we should place our batters based on the numbers, I'll do it for you. But that's just me. That's just me. You do what you want.
The Ides of October conspiracy is there.
I love.
That's beautiful.
Love your et tu, Brute.
That's beautiful.
Love it. Oh my God, that's so beautiful, so perfect. Yes,
yes, we are literate.
I think Mr. Marmol screwed his former boss in the back.
Yes, this is et tu, Marmol.
Yes. So good for you, St. Louis. Let's see how it plays out.
So.
Yep.
San Diego Padres manager search. Ozzie Guillen was interviewed.
I've heard his name mentioned from the Mets as well. And the Mets fans are really kind of
intrigued.
Geeked up. Yes, they're geeked up on it.
Ozzie has mentioned he would like to manage again, doing his pregame, postgame stuff for the Sox. They've always talked to him, being a former manager, would you want to do it again? He's like, if the right situation came along, and either team would be lucky to have him, a World Series winning manager, kind of a player's coach, but he will be a disciplinarian. He's not afraid to sit somebody for doing the wrong thing. And I think that's more what the Padres would need, is that leadership and direction.
Complete opposite from what I was thinking. Complete. I think the Mets,
I don't want him to go to the
Mets. Need him more.
I don't.
Than the Padres.
I don't think.
I don't see
Mets
him working with the Padres at all.
The Mets, I think, would be more of a crap show with the egos that are there.
No, because I think he would actually be able to connect. The first thing you've got to do is connect in New York to Lindor. And if they bring Ozzie in, then they might re-sign Javi Baez, who, of course, is Lindor's best friend, and get those two together with him and create a synergy.
It could be, but Ozzie is not a fan of Baez.
But the problem I see with the Padres is you just traded for Yu Darvish. He's still got a couple years left on his deal. Yu Darvish has to be handled very carefully. Ozzie will just destroy Yu Darvish. You might as well trade him again right now.
Maybe that's what his ass needs.
But then your pitching staff needs a complete overhaul.
Perhaps.
Without him. Does he connect to Tatis? Does he connect to Machado?
You never know.
I think Ozzie would work in New York more than he would work in San Diego.
Perhaps. I think San Diego would be a better environment.
I agree with that.
I don't think he would want to deal with the New York media.
But the thing is, I think Ozzie Guillen in the laid-back West Coast, I don't think he fits.
Maybe that's what
Ozzie would handle the intense pressure of the East Coast environment, the East Coast press, more than the laid-back West Coast.
Yeah, with his style, they would love him in New York. You're right. They would hate him in California. He is not your politically correct. I'm just thinking the team. I'm not looking environment.
Yeah.
I don't care about the media environment. I'm just thinking which team.
Yeah. Now, if I was managing, and again, we talked last week about how the Yankees brought back Aaron Boone because he had leverage. He kept saying, I have leverage. I can go to other places. Aaron Boone would have been perfect for the Padres.
For California.
Right. Right.
Not necessarily
just saying.
Not necessarily the one to be able to put them over the top.
But they put a first-time manager in there with Tingler, you know.
Yeah, that was just a bad move overall.
And who is still floating around out there that people say could take a job? Bruce Bochy. Bruce Bochy is still out there, and he's a California guy. He's done. He's managed San Diego before.
Yeah.
I could see him going back to the Padres.
You know-
Oh my God.
With what the success he had with the Padres when they didn't have anything.
Yep.
It'll
Perfect
be
fit.
interesting.
That would be a perfect fit.
That could be good. But
All
will
right.
San Diego go back there?
And the thing is, for all the money they spend on their players right now, spend money on your manager. Bring in the big gun.
Yeah.
Do it. You went cheap the last time. Don't do it again.
Well, you got Mr. Kumbaya up with the Angels, who hasn't been able to do much.
You talking about my buddy, Joe Madden?
Yeah.
He's going to have the MVP of the league, the former MVP of the league,
And have one of the
and
worst
Anthony
teams.
Rendon, one of the biggest free agent signings of the past 5 years, and again, a 500 team.
Yeah. Go figure.
Yeah. Is Joe actually selling wine out there now?
Probably.
Like he did here in Chicago?
I'm sure he is.
Doesn't have Benny's. To push now, though.
That's right. No, I'm sure he's got a stake in something in Napa.
Yep. Just make sure you wear a mask when you go into my winery in Napa. Because Gavin Newsom doesn't like it if you don't wear a mask. All right, NBA real quick. Just starting off. We're a couple weeks into the season. Good for the Bulls.
Off to an undefeated start.
All those moves they made. Lonzo Ball and DeMar DeRozan. 4-0.
Yeah, well, when you've got a GM now putting things together who knows what he's doing and isn't afraid to make some moves and change things up instead of the whole Gar Forman, John Paxson fiasco that they dealt with for over a decade.
So we could be seeing some kind of... The Knicks look really good.
That's going to be a big challenge for the Bulls in their next contest.
Yep. Fournier and Kemba Walker, those additions with Thibodeau, who I have always thought that... Please, dismiss the time he spent in Minnesota. That's a black hole. He pulled himself out. He got himself into a better situation. The Knicks are going to be really good for a long time as long as they keep him.
Yeah. The reason he was out in Chicago was he butted heads with Paxson.
Right.
Because Paxson's ego couldn't stand playing second fiddle to the coach.
Thibodeau is literally, if not the best, one of the 3 best head coaches in the NBA.
Yep. Hands down.
Interesting political situation going on in the NBA. We remember when the Rockets general manager, Daryl Morey, dared to say something about China.
Yes.
And he basically got fired for it. Now one of the players, Enes Kanter, has come out and said China is ruled by a dictator. Tibet needs to be free. And now he's ripping into Nike.
For production being over there?
So China has responded and banned, I believe he's on the Celtics now, so they've banned all Celtics games on their channel over there. And the NBA is huge in China.
Yeah, it is.
So this is a big economic hit for the NBA. So the question is,
are they going to cancel his contract, or are they going to suspend him indefinitely, or what are they going to do?
So far, nothing has happened, which I'm impressed with. They have let this alone.
So the players are okay to make any statements, but any member of a front office is not allowed to say anything.
I thought we lived in America. I thought we had freedom of speech.
That's what I thought as well, but as we know from woke cancel culture, that is not the case.
I applaud Kanter for his comments. I hope he does not suffer any repercussions from what he has said. I hope Adam Silver, that goofy looking troll
Phantasm
pod
mother.
man, just shuts his mouth and walks away from this.
Yep. Phantasm boy just needs to go away. No, not Phantasm. Nosferatu. What was it? Max Schelling?
Sounds right. That sounds right. Yeah.
From the silent Nosferatu movie. That's frickin' Max Silver. Or Adam Silver, sorry.
And then, of course, the Lakers are already in trouble, which we love to hear. LeBron's already missing 2 games because his ankle hurt. Oh, his poo-poo ankle hurts. So he's out 2 games. He missed the last one. He's missing tonight. Street clothes, as Charles Barkley refers to him. Anthony Davis is questionable tonight for the OKC game. But, of course, they could probably beat Oklahoma City without either one of those.
Yeah.
So it's convenient how, they'll show up for the games where they're playing the Nets.
The ones that matter.
Or the Knicks. Or the Heat. They'll play the Jazz. They'll play the good teams. But, I don't feel right. Oh, my tummy hurts. Oh, my God. My ankle.
Clothes.
Can you put a Dora the Explorer Band-Aid on it and make sure it kissy boo-boo? God! I hate the NBA. God! And then Kyrie's still not playing because he won't get vaccinated.
We know that. I'm done talking about that bag.
All right. Can we talk about one last thing before we move on to the dumbasses of the week?
If we must.
This could actually be a dumbass of the week because I find the money involved obscene. But I know the world we live in. A pair of game-worn...
I know where you're going.
Air Jordans just went on auction this week.
Not
sold...
even Air Jordans.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
A pair of regular Nikes, game worn.
$1.47 million.
People have more money than brains.
This is the kind of stuff that feeds into my daughter's woke psychosis. This is the kind of stuff where I would look at this and go, maybe she's right. The rich need to be taken down about 10 notches. If they're going to waste their money on shit like this, maybe my daughter's right.
In some respects, yes.
This money could have been given to charity, to feed poor people, to clothe, to house the homeless.
Pay for a daycare program.
And you're going to spend $1.47 million
on a pair of stinky-ass game-worn shoes.
Stick with us. We are the sane. We are the logical people that will straighten you out and tell you what's right and what's wrong.
Hell, that money could have gone to Sports Frenzy 2.0 to help us launch our radio station.
Yes! God. WFRZ. Our combination of sports talk and rock and roll. Some have said they've tried it and failed. We would not fail.
That's right.
You know who has failed, though? The dumbasses of the week. They have failed.
Patrick Chung, former Patriot, dumbass, charged with assault and vandalism, beating up on the mother of his kids. Mother of his kids. Dumbass couldn't even marry her. Pathetic in every way.
And unfortunately, this is the kind of stuff we see week after week after week. And
inexcusable crap.
The PC namby-pamby media writes it off as, well, because they played football, they've got CTE, they've got problems, no, they need to be held accountable for idiocy like this.
That's right. There's no excuse for doing something like that.
All right, my two dumbasses this week, a little bit more innocuous, but at the same time, still stupid people. Number one, Klay Thompson. When was the last time Klay Thompson played basketball?
God, when was the last time I heard the name Klay Thompson?
Oh, no. But wait, Dave. Even though he hasn't played basketball in, 2 years? He was whining about his snub, quote unquote, from not being included in the 75th anniversary team the NBA just unveiled of the 75 greatest players of all time. He thinks he's one of the 75 greatest players of all time.
Wow, must be nice to live inside his mind.
Well, of course, and his teammates kind of joked around about it and gave him a jersey.
Number 76?
77, because there was a tie. There was a tie. Technically, there was a tie, I guess, at 75. So there were two players at 75 on the list.
I'm sorry, there are way more players that I can think of ahead of Klay Thompson.
How the hell does Klay Thompson think in any way, shape, form, universe he is one of the top 75 NBA players of all time?
I wouldn't put him in the top 200.
He hasn't played in 2 years. Literally.
I know.
It's ridiculous for him to even be... Shut up!
Dumbass.
Goddamn, another. He's like Patrick Mahomes. Another goddamn player who needs to get off mommy's goddamn ass and shut up and sack up and man up and stop acting like you're entitled to any and every accolade because I got an NBA contract and I got a lot of money, so I must be the best ever.
Guess what? With that stupid-ass TV contract, everybody gets max contract
When does
money.
that come to an end?
Not
God
soon
help
enough.
Me. When does that come to an end?
Not soon enough.
Oh, my God.
Next dumbass.
All right. We talked about last week. We talked about Terry Bradshaw, and we talked about how it was ridiculous for people to be criticizing him because of what he said about Aaron Andrews.
Yeah.
All he said was, you dress nice, you got nice boots, you look good. Oh, my God, he's sexually harassing her. All right. This is a landmark moment on Sports Frenzy 2.0 because I'm actually going to stick up for Tony Romo. Tony Romo, during the Buccaneers-Bears game, was joking around during that whole stupid exchange where Mike Evans, number one, never should have given away, should have been very aware that he was giving Tom Brady's 600th touchdown pass out to a member of the crowd in Tampa Bay. He alone could be a dumbass.
That's a dumbass move right there.
And, of course, everybody's been covering the fact that Brady had to give him this, had to give him that. He got season tickets. He got a signed helmet. Fine, whatever. People are saying...
You know what? This fan is an asshole for demanding all this stuff to give the ball back. Where's common decency?
Well, a lot of people are saying he should have held on to it for more.
Good God, people.
But here's where the Tony Romo thing comes into play. Again, this is cancel culture at its worst. Tony Romo, while they show the guy negotiating, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers representative, negotiating with the guy, Romo's doing a voiceover. He's trying to be a goofy, funny guy.
Trying to, I'll take it for this. I'll take it for that.
He says, I'll take it for a date with Giselle.
Wow.
Again, most of us would take that as Romo actually
That's
for once
kind of funny.
being funny.
That's kind of funny.
Oh, all the trolls were out. Oh my God, he's whoring out his wife. Who does Tony Romo think he is to whore out Giselle?
That's the problem. Trolls, social media. As I've said, Twitter and all that bullshit is the downfall of everything.
So last week it was the critics of Terry Bradshaw. This week it's the critics of Tony Romo. Get a goddamn life.
Get a sense of humor.
It's funny.
It was hysterical.
He didn't say anything indecent. It wasn't Woody Harrelson and Demi Moore.
It wasn't an indecent proposal.
Jesus God, all he said was a date. He didn't say, and she's going to pull her panties down and she's going to,
Yeah.
Get over yourselves, you goddamn trolls. Get out of your mom's basement once in a goddamn while. Experience real life.
Have a freaking sense of humor.
Ah!
And on that fine note,
I'm the maestro, Kevin Crane.
I'm the conquistador, Dave Height.
Check out the weekend edition this week, kids. The Halloween edition.
It's gonna be spooky.
We are going to give you our top 10 scariest horror movies of all time, in addition to reviews of Dune, music news, TV and streaming news, the season finale of Titans we have to review.
Go!
You have got to check out the weekend edition. That'll hit this Saturday morning.
And damn if what they do in the shadows.
Not the end yet, but very, very interesting episode.
The episode before the finale.
Yes. Check it out. You've got nothing better to do on Saturday morning other than sleep off your hangover. Why not spend it with us? Again, I'm Kev. That's Dave.
Rate us, rank us, send us a comment.
Check out the Facebook page. We will be here next week, as we always are. We love you.